For Christmas, my parents got us a pair of these RhinoWolf tents, which are a tent and a sleeping mat and a sleeping bag all combined into one. And you can see it takes up not a whole lot of space. It's pretty compact. So we're gonna open this up, give it a try to put it together. I'm pretty excited to see how they work since they are a pretty nifty combination item. And you can supposedly zip them together if you have multiple, so you can put like 2 or 3 or 4 together and create one giant tent. Comes with stakes too. I would definitely recommend doing this part first before you put the rod all the way through. It's not what I did, so I had a little bit of trouble with that, but this just kind of like sits here holding it up, and it's definitely easier if you do that part first. When it comes to the sleeping bag and sleeping mat, so you can see here that the sleeping mat is really just a sleeping mat that you still have to blow up by yourself. That's a little disappointing since I already have a sleeping mat, so I didn't really need to pay for another one. I thought it was something different by having this all combined into one. But then you can also see here, so here is your sleeping bag, and this is zipped into the tent, which will give you some extra protection, extra warmth. And now, and then all the way down at the end here, in case you get warm, you get a little foot air hole, and then also some more zippers that you can get it bagged down at the bottom for that. So next up, let's put the other one together and then try to combine the two, because that's kind of the entire point of these tents. So I had to look up how to do this online because I couldn't figure it out just by looking at them. So let's give it a try. First things first, these need to be rolled up and secured with the hooks so that they're out of the way. So this is now nicely rolled up and out of the way. The next thing is unzip the mesh zipper. Is you take the zipper out, so this is no longer connected. And over here, this one is no longer connected either. Okay, so now our next step is to take the zippers from the 2 different tents that the screen was using and put them together. And then zip them up. There we go. Okay. What are we gonna do up here? Okay, so this needs to be on the outside because this is the top layer. And then this is going to zip all the way up to the top. Okay. Other side going there now too. All the way up to the top. All right. I don't know, I feel like we might be able to get through that because I see some daylight, so we'll have to go see if there's any way to fix that. The next step is going to be to undo these and then roll them in together. The other thing we need to do, this part up here is what I was looking at inside. It said that one RhinoWolf tent has to go under the other in order to make sure that this is an airtight seal. So I'm guessing that's about the best that we're gonna get when it comes to that. All right, this is definitely looking better here on the inside. Can't see any more daylight out of that, so that's great. Our next challenge is the netting that's now in the middle. This just needs to be rolled together and then secured with the ropes. So here we go. So like this needs to be tied together, which I can't do holding the camera. So here I am inside of the two connected RhinoWolves, and there's a pretty much good deal of space in here. So the next thing I'm going to look at is if it's possible to connect the two sleeping bags, because that's something that I guess assumed we would be able to do since everything can be connected. So both sleeping bags are zipped in here. So I'm hoping if I unzip them all the way that I'll be able to reconnect just these two together. Kind of like we did with the exterior of the tent. So I fully disconnected half of the sleeping bag in both tents, and I do have one end of a zipper over here and one end of a zipper over here, but the problem is that I can't get them together. There's not enough space to be able to fit these two together. All right, I need both hands. I'm gonna give this a try again. Well, I managed to get them together, but I don't think this is how this is supposed to be used, because look at all of this, just open space for your feet at this point. Almost the entire bottom of the sleeping bag is open if they're connected together. And then also, I mean, if we were to zip this all the way up, you still have this big divider between the two, which really makes it difficult. Well, that's a big bummer. That's pretty much the entire reason we wanted these tents, because right now we carry a two-person sleeping bag because we want to be able to actually sleep physically touching each other, which is also good for body heat when it gets cold. And it looks like these tents are not gonna allow us to do that, which sucks because these are not cheap.
Okay, so right off the bat, the bags don't connect, and secondly, it's not a bag. This is a top. This is like saying, okay, it comes with a quilt that you put over something, but it doesn't come with anything underneath it. Like, I don't see how this is gonna massively retain our body warmth at all. I'm sure it's fine for warm weather camping.
These two are supposed to go down to 40 degrees.
I wouldn't be comfortable sleeping on this at 40 degrees without actually having a sleeping bag, which this is not. So it's additionally very, very, very thin. And I understand that everything here is like for weight issues, which is why we purchased it, but we purchased it to have an actual bag in it. It doesn't.
I also want to check and see if this tent is waterproof. I read another customer's review saying that his was not, and RhinoWolf's response to him was that it was probably just a manufacturer defect and to please send it back. So before taking this out maybe into the world, I want to kind of test that out so I'm not getting rained on in the middle of the night. So it's supposed to rain here tonight in Los Angeles. It doesn't rain here very much, and our rain is usually very light. So I'm just gonna leave the tent out overnight and then come back in the morning and check it and see what happened. So we have some beading of water on top of the tent, which I think is a really good sign, since water is beating up and falling off. And as you can see, I completely closed everything before putting it out here last night. So yeah, it's even like pooling on the ground. So everything is completely closed. And let's see, I hope we're in business. All right, so let's open this. Open this. All right, let's take a look. Oh my God, there is a giant puddle of water inside the tent. And there's some droplets over here too. Oh my God. Look, there's no holes like anywhere up here at all as far as why this water would be coming in. That's really awful. So overall, I'm really disappointed in this tent. The fact that it's not waterproof even in a light rainstorm overnight, I think is a big problem. So I'm gonna be contacting RhinoWolf and trying to return this because they're not cheap, and I definitely don't think that they are worth what was paid for them. I also really don't like that the sleeping bag is only a quilt and not actually a bag. So there's really only a sleeping mat and a thin layer of plastic between you and the ground. I think that's a big problem. Maybe that was just me not researching the design well enough before ordering it. And then I was just disappointed that the sleeping bags didn't connect either, because I thought the entire tent system connected. And maybe that was my fault again, not really looking into it and researching it well enough. But the not being waterproof and having water coming down out of the tent in the middle of the night while you're sleeping is just not acceptable to me. So there you have it. That's my review. I think it's a really cool idea, and I think that their marketing is really slick, and I think it's great for a lot of like single people if they just want to like go out in the desert where it won't be raining and then they can just combine the tents and like hang out and have a party. There's a lot of good aspects of these tents, but for me, it's not going to work for us and what we would need it for.